Good morning. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to make a given tool set. And I'm going to go ahead and start a computer here. Now you'll see that I have a cut file here, a cut file that I like to use when I'm trying to find a specific kerf width and also find the best looking cuts for a given tool set. Now I have these different feeds and speeds aren't far enough exaggerated for me to actually make a proper judgment, unless of course I start changing up this particular file. So what I would actually do is then do a series of circles, or do essentially also do rotations and sine waves in order to better understand what feed rate is going to give me the best quality of the cut, and then of course what that kerf width is going to come out to. So there's a couple of things you're going to need when you're first building your tool set, when you're experimenting with the tool set. First thing you're going to need to know is you're going to need to know your kerf width, and you're going to need to know your feed rate. And then of course you have your two other settings, your amperage and your cut height. Now hypertherm, we're going to go ahead and just do a generic cut height of 0.06 with a pure set of 0.15. That's just across all of Hypertherm's plasma cutters. That's what they use. We're going to go ahead and stick with that for now when working with this. We can adjust that and make some changes in the future, but in this case we're going to ensure that that's also happening. The other thing we also need to make sure we consider is our pierce delay. So if we're working with a thicker gauge material, you're going to have your machine actually, wait for a microsecond in order for it to pierce all the way through the material. Like let's say, rather than doing 11 gauge at 45 amps, you're doing 11 gauge at 30 amps or 35 amps, and so dropping that down is going to give you a need to actually wait for the machine to pierce all the way through before moving forward. So what I would do is I would build a file, and I would go increments of 10 or 20 IPM between, let's say, 6 different cuts. This is a bit ad nauseum. It's a little bit too much. I would say, but you'll do 6 lines and 20 IPM difference between each, and then figure out based on the front side and the back side which cut is giving you the best lack of slag in comparison to the others. So you'll choose that one. You will set each line on a different layer, and if you need help on how to set these to different layers, there's a specific video that shows you how to assign different lines to different layers, and then you'll assign different operations to different layers. In fact, I'll go ahead and do a little sample of that here in just a moment, is how to assign lines to different layers and make different operations for those different layers, so that you can start to test out the exact kerf width and what have you. The other thing, when you're inputting all of the data that you're getting from these cuts, you're going to need to take a set of calipers and actually measure the width of this line. The width of this line is going to be your kerf width based on your cut settings. So whatever line that you find is your best setting, you're going to go ahead and take a set of calipers and measure that out to make sure that you actually have the proper width inputted into SheetCam, so that SheetCam can give you better cuts and better positions for those cuts. In any case, let's go ahead and hop over to the computer and take a look at how we're going to adjust those files. So, there we go. So for today, I'm just going to use this generic screen here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go File. I'm going to go for a new part here. If you need more specifics on how to do what I'm doing here, then go ahead and go onto onto the customer portal, and it'll show you how to do what I'm doing here. I'm just speeding through this particular part till we get to here. So once we're here, we're going to go to this C tool, this contour tool, edit contours. We're going to click on that, and what I want to do is my outlining outside shape is going to be, cut at whatever speed essentially any speed that I would like. I want to move this to a new layer, and I want to just call it layer 1. And right click, move to layer.